Right now we are opening a brand new source files, which is 2.3, and we are going to check right now how does this average work and what might happen if you don't have only the numbers in your column. So let's start by inserting a pivot table on the table you can find in there. We will place it in a new worksheet, although we could use already the existing worksheet and place it into the specific location in 2.3 exercise, but I want to show you the new worksheet option once again, because once we create a target pivot table, which is going to take the sum of test column, the count of test column, and also the average of the test column, we are going to copy and paste this pivot table back to the 2.3 worksheet. At the moment you can already see that the results are quite strange, because the sum of the test value accounts for 3, count accounts for 4, but still the average reaches just 1. Why is that? Let's check that out. But first let's copy the whole pivot table. You can select the cells, you can select one of the cells and hit Ctrl A. You can also go for the pivot table analyze tab and select the entire pivot table, and then you can either move a pivot table to a specific location, or you can use a shortcut like cut and paste, which is Ctrl X, and then you can go back to 2.3 exercise and paste the pivot table in the same worksheet where your source table is stored. We can also get rid of the old empty worksheet. And we are doing so to make sure we understand what's happening inside a pivot table. And the bottom line in here is, if you have some text in your numerical column, this text is going to be calculated as count, but it doesn't take part in the average calculation. So for the average calculation, you can see Excel takes only first 3 rows, calculates the sum and divides it by the number of rows that are numerical. And this is what you can find right now in this exercise. What would happen if instead of not available, I would change it to an empty string, empty text, by using double quotes. To check this calculation, you need to first refresh the pivot table to check what are going to be the results, but they are exactly the same. Nothing actually has changed. What will happen if I will remove the value and the cell is going to be fully empty? Nothing is inside. Let's refresh pivot table and check that the average still accounts for just 1, but what has changed is the count. Count calculates only the number of non-empty cells, and the empty cells are omitted. And the last experiment, what would happen if you have an error, which is an error generated in the formula language, for example, not available, that you can generate by NA formula. Once you refresh the pivot table, you will see that you cannot calculate the sum, you cannot calculate the average, but still you can calculate the count, and your error is counted too. So summing up, if in the exercise 2.2 we've had the average margin calculation, but we've had some text in the margin column, this particular cell has not been included in the calculation. So what Excel did, it took just 9,425 rows, and this is the base for the average calculation.